Should be rolling in here. There it goes. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm Kyle, and this is the Stalwart Initiative coverage of Starfinder's new book, The Alien Archive, which is a resource book full of monsters for GMs to run their Starfinder game. And also, what we're going to be covering is the playable races out of the Alien Archive book. Today, I'm joined with Dawn. Say hi, Dawn.
Yo.
And we're going to go over each of the playable races in Starfinder's Alien Archive book. This is our first Starfinder coverage. We played a few times testing out each of the standard classes from the Starfinder core rulebook, and next month we're going to be starting and streaming a Starfinder campaign. But for right now, we really wanted to get out there and after we got the got a hold of the Alien Archive book, wanted to get out some information to people who might not have seen it yet, and introduce you guys to the 22 additional playable races in the Alien Archive. Super good stuff. So that's what's coming up here. In general, Alien Archive as a resource book, my personal thoughts on it, and then I'll get Dawn's. I think it's well worth it. $10 for the PDF, $10 for a resource book that me as a GM is going to get a lot of mileage out of, and as players also is valuable because it has not only has the playable races chalked into it, but it also has a bunch of new items, magical and non-magical items that get integrated into the game. So players can brush up on these different items, especially if they're into crafting and stuff, and also if they would happen to obtain these items in-game, they would have the statistics right there and handy for them. So overall, the book, Alien Archive book, I'm very pleased with. And I think Paizo once again did a great job. The price point is fantastic. Paying $10 and having a PDF that I can just pull open on my iPad. Love it. Very convenient and love it. Dawn, what do you think so far looking over the Alien Archive?
Well, I liked it. It was a lot of interesting and new stuff. Paizo, I like how they go for uniqueness with their creatures. It's something to really look at and to, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess just enjoy. I couldn't think of the word I was looking for. But like the art is fantastic. The creatures themselves are viewable in different scenarios, which is amazing. It's not like this one-hit wonder that you can use in only the specific scenario. The playable races, I thought, personally, kind of meh. But, I mean, this is only the first printing of the Alien Archive. I'm sure they're gonna refine stuff and polish that turd until it shines. That's their shtick. That's how they work. So, Paizo did a great job, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's definitely a worthwhile book picking up. You did touch on a fact. There are, at least my personal opinion, several of the playable races that are meh, are not that appealing. But, I mean, to each his own. People might, especially for specific functions. There are several races that, as a generalization, they're only meh. But in a specific function or specific campaign setting, they could be quite useful. So
yeah, they can really shine.
Yeah, so let's start off. Let's take we're gonna go alphabetical order. Let's take a look at our first playable race, which will be the Bharathuu.
Bharathuu.
Well, I think if it was Bharathuu, there'd be two R's. It's Barathu. I think since there's only one R, it looks to me like it'd be Bharathuu. So Bharathuu.
Tomato.
Yeah, it'd be Bharathuu or Bharathuu. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to go just, I'll give you pop up a little picture here so that you can see roughly what it looks like. There's usually one or two pictures. This is, as far as player races, this is the early stage Bharathuu is what you get to play. There's early stage Bharathuu, and then there are actual Bharathus, and you don't get to play as the actual one, but you get to play as a early stage Bharathuu. And we're going to go over I'll give you a little picture, and we're going to go over the racial traits and what each of us think of that race. So the racial traits for the Bharathuu are, the ability adjustments are, it gets a +2 to con, +2 to wisdom, and a -2 to dexterity. It gets 6 hit points,
making them pretty hardy.
Yeah, so +2 to con, hardy, +2 to wisdom, good for your will saves, -2 to dex, so it's not that dexterous, but 6 hit points is very nice. Its size and type, so it is a medium aberration, so it is not even a humanoid. We're going to start off strong with strange aliens here. There are a lot of humanoids in here, but this one, boom, it's not humanoid at all. It's an aberration. It's actually a kind of floating jellyfish type creature, which will make weapons and items. You and your DM have to get a little creative on how you want those to look and adapt them. Its first ability it's by far its most interesting and cool ability. It is called Early Stage Adaptation, and this allows your Bharathuu to let me scroll up here. It has a small list of things that it can do with its swift action, and once every 1d4 rounds as a swift action, an early stage Bharathuu can reshape its body and adjust its chemistry to gain an ability, and that ability will last until the beginning of its next turn. So unlike the actual Bharathus, the early stage, they're not generally capable of more complex adaptations. They get the early stage adaptations, but I mean, if your GM's up for it and at your discretion, maybe if you like I was telling Dawn, if I had someone put some time into an early stage Bharathuu later on in a campaign or later on in levels, I would allow them to start getting access to the actual adaptation list for the full-grown Bharathus, and that list is also in here in the creature section. Okay, so some of the things they can do with the early stage adaptations. It can use its upper limb refinement. It gives it an additional amount of damage to its melee attacks equal to its strength modifier, which is nice. Extra damage, nice. And the second one is a tough dermal layer, gives it a +1 racial bonus to its armor class. Nice, or more armor class, always good. And this is just swift action, free swift actions. Now you do have to wait 1d4 rounds between them, but hey, the more you can do with swift actions, the better. The third one, it develops lower limbs, granting it a base speed of 15. So with the Bharathuu itself, you have it has a base speed of 0. So it doesn't walk, it floats. And it has an extraordinary fly speed of 30 feet with average maneuverability. So with fly speeds, they depict how maneuverable your fly speed allows you to be, and this one is average maneuverability of 30 feet fly speed. So you get to fly, which is cool, but you gotta be careful because you have 0 movement speed if you're forced to the ground. So there are drawbacks to that, but back to the early adaptations. So this you develop lower limbs, and it grants you 15-foot movement speed for that turn. And the fourth adaptation is on a molecular level. It gives you a modification that grants 2 resistance against a single energy type. So acid, cold, electricity, fire, or sonic. You get to pick the energy type, and it gives you a 2 resistance to that type for that turn. Nice. Okay, that's solid, especially if you know what you're going up against already. And the last adaptation, it gives you elongated limbs. So the danglies that hang down off your body, you can stretch them out and give yourself, bring your reach up to 10 feet rather than 5. So I think that's pretty cool. Dawn, your opinions on the early adaptation?
Well, Kyle, in my opinion, the once every 1d4 rounds is kind of meh, considering it's only for one turn. But I guess they had to put in something that put them apart from the mature Bharathuu or whatever. And you know that can be worked with, I guess. It would take some real thought on the players' behalf in order to actually play one of these, because like it kind of alludes to, they don't really have a body for equipment or anything like that. So it'd be a creative exercise, I'll put it that way, for both the player and the GM as far as that goes. It doesn't really give you much on how the race is supposed to behave, so I mean all of it is kind of it's kind of up in the air. It's an interesting race, no doubt. They're telepathic, which is really cool. You know, I have to say, not one of my favorites, but you're gonna be hearing that a lot, probably. So,
yeah. So starting off strong with a very strange race. So yeah, like Dawn said, they have limited telepathy as another one of their abilities. They can communicate telepathically with any creature within 30 feet, as long as that creature shares a language with the Bharathuu. And as their last ability, they have Strange Anatomy, which gives them a +1 racial bonus to fortitude saving throws. So, I mean, nice little bonus, but
they're hardy.
Yeah. They're definitely on the hardier side. So, and also as Dawn mentioned, you have to be creative. I would say that because they can change their genetics and they can change their composition, that they can integrate armor pieces and stuff into that, and they can use their dangly tentacle things to hold weapons. But yeah, you gotta have an imagination if you want to pass these guys off as warriors and such. Okay, so let's move on down to... Okay, next up on our list, let me get the photo up here, is... Oh, lost it. There we go. Is the Contemplative. What the? It's the floating brain guy. Contemplative was a race, a relatively normal race, and then they developed their brains over evolution, and they overdeveloped their brains until they're mostly brain now. Now this is another strange one. This little fella doesn't walk. They float around telekinetically, and lost my thing. Another strange one. So it's the Contemplative. Its ability adjustments are, and this is nice. This is one thing I like that Paizo's doing. Very different ability adjustments compared to the vanilla book, the vanilla core book. It gets a +4 to intelligence, a +2 to charisma, and then it gets 2 minuses. So it gives you a total of +6 as a positive modifier, and then a -4 for the negative modifiers. So it gets a -2 to strength and a -2 to con. And this little fella, he's only got 2 hit points. So I like the Yusoki, very frail. And -2 to con and 2 hit points. and -2 to strength. Yeah, this thing is not impressing anybody physically. But
also, Kyle, they're not little guys; they're medium-sized creatures.
that's true. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the picture, and I'm picturing these little floating guys. But you're right. Yes, they are medium size, so medium monstrous humanoids. So in shape, yeah, you're right. They're closer to us than those floating jellyfish people. Okay. Their first ability is Applied Knowledge, and that, once a day before attempting a skill check or saving throw against a creature, the Contemplative can use its bonus for a skill associated with that creature's type, such as Life Science for an ooze or Mysticism for an outsider, in place of its normal bonus. And okay, that's nice. That's nice. It'd be situational, but yeah, they're smart. Boom, they know shit about things, so good for them. Now, for a negative ability is Atrophied. So Contemplative's limbs are practically vestigial. They're just these frail little limbs, and Contemplative can manipulate most tools and one-handed weapons, including small arms, without difficulty. But a Contemplative can't properly wield a two-handed weapon without dedicating its telekinetic powers to supporting the weapon. And even then, it takes a -4 penalty to attack rolls. It also can't use its spell-like abilities or fly until it is no longer wielding that weapon. So two-handed weapons, pretty much worthless in the hands of this thing. So you might want to go spellcaster, mechanic, something that doesn't require you to deal with two-handed weapons. Nice thing, it does have psychic flight. So it has it can supernaturally fly at a speed of 30 with average maneuverability, but their base movement speed is only 5 feet. So when they're on the ground, yeah, they're barely moving. It also has a nice ability, Psychic Senses, which it has blind sense through thought out to 30 feet and dark vision to a range of 60 feet. So senses-wise, that's pretty nice. Blind sense is nice, always nice to have. 30 feet is better than 10 feet. That's good. And a range of 60 feet dark vision is also nice, especially since a lot of the races in this book only have dim light vision as opposed to dark vision. So dark vision for 30 feet is good. Dom, what are your thoughts on the Contemplative?
Well, personally, looking it over, I think there's a lot you could do with it. Like you said, though, not something like a soldier or something tanky, but like I believe it'd make an awesome technomancer or operative for that matter. It is interesting that it detects thoughts at a range of 30 feet, which is cool. The atrophied condition kind of kills my boner for it, so I don't know how I feel about that. And Applied Knowledge is kind of meh, but all in all, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not the abilities that make it interesting. It's actually more of the fluff that surrounds it that makes it interesting, from my player standpoint anyway. I mean, you're a giant floating telekinetic brain, practically, with a body that, according to these pictures, is about an eighth of the size of your actual head.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from a player standpoint, I think it'd be like the reasons to play this would be more about the fluff. I mean, they're supposed to be super intelligent creatures, and they know things. That's their whole shtick. I don't know. I like to look at different races and think, how would these be played? From a player's perspective. From a player's perspective. Sorry, I can't talk today. It's kind of one of these. What would they do in this situation? Okay, so I'm gonna take that information and kind of put my own little twist on it. I like it for what it is, but it's again not one of my favorites. To boil things down.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much likewise. Yeah, thematically, I think it's cool. Floating brain with a little tiny body attached to it. You could do some damage. The having +6, I mean, giving you a +6 positive modifier is pretty nice right off the bat. It's just your racial, not counting your class, not counting anything else. Just +4 intelligence, and what was the other one? +2 charisma. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty nice, especially if you're going to multi-class. Start out like start either a technomancer or whatever, and then multi-class into an envoy or something. Like you're getting both of those the best of those worlds there. So very nice. But very, very frail. So frail. Okay. Let's move on to the Drelik.
Yeah, Kyle, don't even ask me about this one. This is just poop. Just poop.
Yeah, Drelik. You're right. I wasn't thrilled with it at all either. So the Drelik is this like race of creatures. They're from this different nebula, and basically they want to see the end of all things, but not they're not actively trying to destroy everything, but they just won't mind help speeding up the process to end all things. Yeah, pickle people. Just rude pickle people.
That's accurate. They look like they've got a giant pickle for a head.
Yeah. So, but let's take a look. Let's take a look under the hood and let's see what we got. So their ability adjustments, they get +2 to Constitution, +2 to Wisdom. So I'm already, and -2 to Charisma. So I'm already thinking they're, I'm not, with 4 hit points, 4 hit points to boot. So I'm already thinking they're, a mystic, but I can't think of anything else that these guys are going to thrill me at. But, okay.
I mean, to be honest, they could thrill you at really anything that's not, a caster type, except for maybe mystic. So, like, if you're allowing the legacy races, they wouldn't make good alchemists. No. But with a +2 to con, they could play a good soldier. The +2 to wisdom just gives more wisdom saves. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I shouldn't say their stats are that bad. I digress. I kind of, I'm looking at thematically. See, thematically, where the Contemplative is drawing me in thematically, the Drelik is pushing me away thematically. So, stats-wise, okay, it's not, yeah, you're right. It's not going to completely push me away. Let's look at the abilities and stuff. So it's a medium humanoid with a Drelik subtype. Okay. It's got dark vision for 60 feet. That's nice. Dark vision's great. Always useful. Okay, and it has Drelik magic, which I don't think's too bad. It gets, let's see here. Gains spells listed below as spell-like abilities, and the caster level for these effects is equal to the Drelik's character level. So leveling width is nice as far as your caster level. Once per day, I can cast Wisp Ally, which Wisp Ally is a decent spell. Getting a little Wisp buddy to help distract the enemy and stuff. It's a decent spell. So you can do that once per day. And at will, it can cast Fatigue, which I actually agree is decent. I had that with, I think I had that in Envoy that I played. So that helps you lock somebody up. And Ghost Sound, which, okay. You can find some use out of. It also has an ability called Lurker, so it gets a +4 bonus to stealth checks in dim light or darker conditions. That could be nice. You can get some use out of it with an operative or something, but still okay. And it has necromancy resistance, so it gets a +2 racial bonus to saving throws against necromancy effects. In a fantasy setting, that would get probably a decent amount of mileage. I'm not so sure you would see it a whole lot unless you're doing a whole campaign revolved around the Eox people.
To be fair, when they say necromancy effects, I believe they're referring to any spell with the necromancy school. That is the only. That's the only time that would actually make sense. That's the only way that it would actually make sense. Because, like you said, in a fantasy setting, it would be more prevalent, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in a futuristic, spacefaring kind of space opera-ish type game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for these guys, because they're all like revolving around dark energy and stuff. But you know, I think, it just doesn't do it for me. The pickle people don't do it for me. Dom, what's your thoughts overall for the class?
They're poop. They do get their like a specialty weapon for them for their race. They're called Shadow Staves, which I mean, the actual Shadow Staff, which is a level 8 item, does look pretty cool. The lesser, kind of kills my bone.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's that. Other than that, I'm not a fan. Like he said, they might make good operatives because of that stealth. But really, other than that, it's just kind of, why are you here? Please leave.
Go home. Yeah, go home. Yeah, so the pickle people, and Dawn brought up another good point. So Shadow Staffs, a lot of these creature pages, creature descriptions come with items. A lot items they're adding with this book, integrated in with the creatures, like items that they use, items that you can make, like based off of, let's say you killed this creature, out of the parts that you get from killing this creature, or things you might find when looting their body, magic items and stuff. And yeah, in that respect, this one does have a decent level 8 item. But yeah, pickle people, meh. So let's move on. Let's cleanse our palate from the pickle people and take a nice big draconic bite out of the Dragonkin. Let's see.
Now, Kyle, this race, in my opinion, was pretty good, but the way that they portrayed it, like the drawing, the art for it, kind of, I don't know. It looks weird. It looks really strange. But it does look like a dragon, so I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah. It does look like a dragon in a humanoid. It does okay. You're right. The art doesn't completely sell it, but I'm sure, at least for me, looking at it from a mechanical standpoint and thematic, because this is going to do a little bit more for me than Dragonborn or other versions of like D&D Dragonkin. This does a little more for me. So
because they're actual dragons, right?
Well, yeah, because they have wings, and because their stats it just speaks to me. And we'll get to one of their abilities later on that I find unique and I like a lot. So
I'm with you there.
Yes, that'll be nice. So racial traits, we're looking at their ability adjustments are a +4 to strength and a -2 to dexterity. So I'm sorry, and they also get 6 hit points. So we're looking at hardy, we're looking at strong, and not that dexterous. But you can see why, because they are the first player race on our list to have a large size. They are large dragons with a space. They take up a large space and a reach of 10 feet. So automatically, boom, your large race here, and it has reach on it, which for your melee classes is going to be beautiful. Hardy, 10-foot reach, large creature. Problematic in certain circumstances, but let's take a look farther down. So they get a breath weapon, as well, Dragonborn, Dragonkin do. And as a standard action, it can breathe a 30-foot cone of flame that deals 1d6 fire damage. And at 3rd level, it adds 1 to 1.5 times. 1.5 times its character level to that damage. And a creature in the cone can attempt a reflex save to half the damage. and it can't use this ability till it's taken a 10-minute rest to recover stamina. So basically a standard breath weapon attack, and it recharges on a short rest. Okay, decent. Draconic immunities is the next ability, and they are immune to sleep effects, and they gain a +2 racial bonus to saving throws against effects that would cause paralysis. So, good. Can't put them to sleep. Harder to paralyze them. Good. Very nice. Very nice. The next ability is Draconic Vision. So it gains dark vision with 60-foot range and low light vision, meaning they can see in dim light as if they were in normal light. So, yep, dark vision, low light vision. Good. Standard good. Flight. So here's the big one. A Dragonkin gains an extraordinary flight speed of 30 feet with an average maneuverability. Until it becomes 5th level, it must end its movement on the ground at the end of each of its turns, or it falls. So, as it's growing, as it's gaining proficiency with its wings that have to carry its large body, up until 5th level, you gotta land, or you fall in midair if you end up in the air in the middle of at the end of your turn. So good, I like that. It's a little way to balance it out there. Early levels, you can't just fly nilly-willy around. Now for the last ability, and Don will go more into detail with this, the Partner Bond. This is a unique ability. Don, can you explain how the Partner Bond works for the Dragonkin?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. From what I've seen, the Dragonkin forms a bond with a non-Dragonkin ally. This bond is permanent, and it allows them to telepathically communicate as long as they are within 100 feet of each other, which is really cool. It makes combat communication so much easier. It also allows them to, when they roll for initiatives, they both roll separately, but then they both use the higher of the results, which the wording "higher of the results" to me kind of says it's not the die roll, it's the total. Because math. Anyway, which if that's the case, if that's how it's played out, is really cool. Because they're not dex based. So they're not going to have a high initiative bonus unless they put a lot into initiative. Okay, so they make a bond with a smaller, more agile creature, and hey, now they're acting in combat earlier, possibly before their enemy. If it's not that way, then whatever. The wording is kind of vague. But I think it's one of the cooler abilities that I've seen out of the playable races so far. If for nothing else. Than the telepathy. The telepathy, like I said, is a longer range than any other of the telepathic races, and it is extraordinarily useful. Oh.
Yeah.
You have anything to add?
Yeah. So this is extremely useful. Like Don said, they have a negative to dex. They're probably not going to be rolling great in the initiative order most of the time. But if they start, if you roll for initiative and they're within 30 feet of their bonded partner, which thematically is they used to team up with Rhyphorians, which is a race we'll cover later on, playable race. And the Rhyphorians would ride them into combat, and they would form this bond with them. And it can be any race, but it was in the description, and it talks about Rhyphorians. And getting that high initiative, and it is total, because it says in combat, when a Dragonkin is within 30 feet of its partner, both creatures roll initiative checks separately and treat the higher result as the result for both of them. So I would say it's the end result of the initiative check, which would be your all modifiers added, not the die roll. So I think that is great. And you can also, if your partner dies, you can also reform a bond. it's permanent, but if your partner dies, it's not end all, you're done. There's no more bond. You can reform a bond with another non-Dragonkin creature. So that's nice as well. Fail safe. So,
Yeah.
man, I thought that was just a wonderful ability. And I mean, if you guys check out the book, it gives a description on the bonding process and stuff.
Also, they also much like the Pickleheads, have their own like racial cool weapon, Dragon Glaives. Dragon Glaives do a ridiculous amount of damage though, and I don't understand it. But
Yeah.
they are cool looking. I will say that. Also, before we move on, one last thing. I don't remember in the actual Starfinder rules if there are size adjustments for stats. Kyle, have you seen anything about that?
I don't remember in respects to just flat out standard adjustments. No, there might be in certain circumstances, but I don't remember flat out general adjustments.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because in Pathfinder, the other game that Paizo published, if you were a large creature, you got a +2 to strength and a -2 to dex.
Huh. I didn't.
So if that's the case, and they have those same size adjustments, this creature's sitting at a +6 to strength, -4 to dex.
Yeah, I doubt that. I think they probably compensated that with the bumped in strength rather than spreading the stat array around. But I mean, I'll take a look for it. But I didn't see that anywhere in the core rulebook.
I don't recall saying it either, but I was just asking if maybe you saw something I didn't.
Okay. Yep.
And it wasn't necessarily just for this. I was actually thinking of all the large races.
Yeah, so I think we have 4. It's either 3 or 4. I think it's 4 large races out of the 20, or 4 races out of the 22 today are large. So overall thoughts for Dragonkin, I like it. I personally like it, and I would probably play one.
I as well really like the Dragonkin. It's a thematic, and it's also it's actually fairly well balanced and nicely fleshed out. So it's not like there's a whole lot of questions about playing. Yeah. You know exactly what you're doing.
Straightforward and good, above all. Okay, so let's move on to a tried and true. Next one is Drow. Space Drow. So they depict them as kind of the normal tropey fantasy Drow. Conniving and wily, and yeah, they're Drow in space. Although they do say they're from their own, they have their own planet, and I'm sorry, they've captured and taken control of a what they call it, planet ship kind of thing, and they're arms dealers. They're conniving crooks. They're all kinds of not good people. But let's take a look at them as a race. So the racial traits, their ability adjustments are +2 to Dex, Drow, +2 to Charisma, Drow, -2 to Constitution. So and they also get 4 hit points. So average on the hit points area. They are medium humanoids with the elf subtype. They get dark vision up to 60 feet. Standard there. Drow immunities. Drow are immune to magical sleep effects and receive +2 racial bonus to saving throws against enchantment spells and effects. That's the enchantment spells and effects. That's kind of nice. The magical sleep effects. I just say the Dragonkin's better. Let's see. Drow magic. Next ability is Drow magic. They gain the following spell-like abilities. The caster level for the abilities is equal to the Drow's level. Okay, so they're at will. They can cast Dancing Lights, which is meh, and Detect Magic, which is great, fantastic, and useful. Great. I'll give them that. Detect Magic is great. In addition, Drow count. I do like this part right here. In addition, Drow count as having the minor psychic power feat for the purpose of meeting prerequisites. And if a Drow takes the psychic power feat. She can add the Drow Noble's... how do you say that, Don? Limning Light. Supernatural...
Yeah, I think that's like that.
Limning Light supernatural ability to the list of spell-like abilities available to her. So, basically, you treat the Drow as having the psychic power feat. And if you actually invest in the feat itself, you'll unlock the Drow Noble, which is a step up from just a normal Drow. A Drow Noble's Limning Light ability. So, here's what the Drow Noble monster, CR11 monster, their Limning Light ability says. It says, as a standard action, a Drow Noble can cause all creatures and objects in a 5-foot radius to burst to shed a pale glow. Creatures outlined by the Limning Light take a -20 penalty to stealth checks and don't benefit from the concealment usually provided by darkness. If an affected creature is benefiting from an effect such as an invisibility, all others within line of sight of it become aware of its location. This effect lasts for a number of minutes equal to the Drow Noble's CR, 11 minutes for a Drow Noble Arms Dealer. That's in regards to the creature. This ability has a range of 100 feet. So, wow. For CR, they don't annotate for the player version. I'm guessing for CR they mean character level. But that's pretty decent. That ability right there, if you invest in the feat, the psychic power feat, does make that pretty nice. Let's see. The next ability is Keen Senses. Drow receive a +2 racial bonus to their perception checks. Okay, they're elves. +2 racial bonus. Okay. And they also get light blindness. So, usual Drow drawback. A Drow exposed to bright light is blinded for 1 round and dazed as long as she remains in areas of bright light. With Paizo books, yeah, it refers to everything as she. So, he or she remains in the area of bright light. So, there's that bright light drawback Drow are accustomed to. So, Dawn, what do you think about the Drow overall for the race?
They're Drow. They're a race. It's dark elves. That you. I did want to mention something about the blindness. I mean, it says dazzled. If dazzled is the same as Starfinder is in Pathfinder, it's not that big a deal. Which, in my opinion, would lend itself to kind of egging players toward playing it. I played in one system before that Drow got blinded, just period, for as long as they're in bright light. I think that was Swords. I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, and I think the fact that they get like a lesser version of the blinded effect makes it more playable. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because just being a blinded character really sucks.
Yeah. Even in 5, they suck.
The liming light ability or lining light or whatever you want to call it is nice. It allows them to hash out invisible creatures, whatnot. And Paizo has a penchant for using creatures that are naturally invisible. I think there's like 12 of them in the bestiaries for Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
They're just naturally invisible, so that's cool. As far as everything else about the race, though, it's an elf. There's really nothing all that special about it.
Yeah.
I did earlier when you started talking about the Drow, though. I made the comment, called it, because I was looking at the Drow and I noticed their environment is the planet Aposte, which is really, yeah, you had to assume that one. It's more or less a planet for evil creatures.
Yeah, shocker there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I didn't like how they. Well, I can't say I didn't like. I didn't appreciate how they didn't put the stats in there for the Noble Drow. Noble Drow have always,
at least as far as I'm aware, in Pathfinder, been a playable race as long as your DM was cool with it. I personally love the Noble Drow, but that's just me. They're it's like playing a pure blood versus a mixed blood, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And I don't know. They have that whole race purity thing. I mean, that seems really racist, I know, but it's what makes them a unit. It's what brings them together, kind of thing. So they have really strong ties to their own race. If you get that, um, uh, eh, they're okay, I guess. They make good operatives.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're good. They're okay.
I want to reiterate. Before I carry on. I'm not a racist at all. I know that made me come across as a racist, and I do apologize.
No, it's a Drow thing. With Drow, you want purity. You want you want the best Drow. You don't want I mean, because even in their structure, it says even in their social structure that the nobles get to pretty much get to do what they want. They get the everything great, and just regular Drow get the shit end of the stick. So they can only go so far. So yeah, you want to be the one that can excel and climb up in the ranks, and hold power. So makes sense. Okay, let's move on to. Wow, we might want to make this 2 videos. How about? Because I mean, this is what are we pushing now? 46 minutes, for almost 47 minutes. Yeah.
We're only on Fs.
We're not even halfway. So we'll do the first half of the first 11 races, and then we'll do the second 11 races hopefully tomorrow. We'll have that video up too as well. So okay, so the Formian, the ant people, are next.
Extremely weird race, in my opinion. Really strange.
Okay, so,
Thematically, I'm not talking like stats. I'm talking like they look weird.
yeah. Well, the picture the viewers are going to have is the armored version. I picked one for each. So yeah, he looks a little less weird than the guy with the bulky mass. Yeah, bulky mass on his back. But okay, so the Formian, ant people, kind of. Let's see, they get for ability adjustments, they get +2 to strength, +2 to con, -2 to wisdom, and 4 hit points. So they're middle of the road, more towards a warrior type classes, and their size is medium, and they are monstrous humanoids. And their first ability is Formian Senses, and Formians have dark vision, 60 feet, and they also have blind sense with scent with a range of 30 feet. So it's scent, which might not be as useful as blind sense with other senses, but hey, you know what? It's free blind sense. They also get limited telepathy. They can communicate with any creature 30 feet that they share a language with. Okay, telepathy's getting to be pretty common here amongst all these races. And natural weapons, which I'm kind of on the fence about this one. They're always considered armed. They can deal a 1d3, which 1d3, which d3s? I know.
To be fair, one of the original races, the Vesk, they deal a D3 as well. And I mean, it's essentially the exact same ability as the Vesk have.
Yeah, I don't have a D3. I don't even have a D3, so it crushes my soul. Crushes my soul here. They deal a D3 lethal piercing damage with unarmed strikes, and those strikes don't count as archaic. I don't even understand what that's referring to. But
archaic against archaic attacks, you get like a +10 or 5 or something like that against your AC against archaic attacks.
Oh really? Ugh.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
That's dumb. Formians gain a unique weapon specialization with their natural weapons at 3rd level, allowing them to add 1.5 times their character level to their damage rolls for their natural weapons, instead of just adding their character level. They also get sonic resistance thanks to the chitinous plates that cover them. Formians have sonic resistance of 5, which is okay. I mean, resistance 5 is nice, but to do that it's sonic, okay, you'll get some uses out of it. Not impressed. I'm not personally impressed as a class. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. Thematically, they look weird, but I think they look cool. But as a class, just man, compared to what else is out there, meh. Don?
Well, Kyle, the sonic resistance is actually really good. There's a lot of weapons in the core book. Well, not a lot, but there's a fair bit of weapons in the core book that do sonic damage. And like, if you were playing this early levels, like 1 through 5, the sonic pistol, if someone decided to choose it, would be next to useless against this creature. It does a D4 of damage or a D6 of damage. Okay, so there's a potential for one point of damage if it's a D6. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you're right in that instance. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially at lower levels.
As far as its blind sense, like you said, 30 feet's better than 10 feet, and 10 feet's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So as far as the natural weapons goes, like I mentioned earlier, it's the same thing as the Vesk, which can potentially get extraordinarily powerful. Because with melee attacks, you add your strength modifier, which they have a strength bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we're level 5, so I'm gonna add 7 points to that damage because it's strength and it's time and a half.
Yep. Correct. Yes.
So at level 5, if you dump a bunch of points into strength with your +2, okay, so you put let's say you made a what are they called? Formian?
Yep.
Let's say you made a Formian soldier and you dumped points into strength and you've got an 18 strength total. Okay. Well, now it's 4 plus the 7 for your level 5. And that right there is 11 points of damage static without counting the D3, which the D3 at this point is not worth counting.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eventually,
your 11 base is nice.
Eventually, it gets to the point where the D3 is not worth counting, and then it's just I'm gonna smack you for just tons of damage. Let me go to level 10 real quick. That's 15 points of damage static, not including your strength. So I mean, I think it's a really good ability. I think the natural weapons is a really nice ability. As far as everything, well, actually, all their abilities are pretty well-rounded. I do think they look strange. I'm gonna keep saying that because they really do look strange.
Yeah.
But no, as far as the races we've seen so far, I think this has the best set of abilities. As far as being well-rounded and purposeful, it seems like they were all given to this race with a purpose. Some of these other abilities we've seen doesn't really seem like it fulfills a purpose for the race. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this one seems very thought out. Like, okay, this is the race. Okay, we're gonna give it this ability because of this, and this ability because of this. You know, it just, I don't know. It feels like they put more thought into it, and that's that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. It's a nice pitch. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're decently rounded. They don't really have anything negative going for them. I didn't really think about the lower level sonic 5 resistance affecting lower level sonic weapons. That, you're right, that would just kind of trash them.
On that same thought, like the whole Solarian class, if they went ahead and said, I'm going to take the armor, now they have either a 5 fire or a 5 cold on top of that 5 sonic.
Yeah.
So they slowly start to gain resistance to different elements, and they just become tanky as all get out.
Yeah, that would be one. Yeah, especially at lower levels, that'd be one tanky ass ant.
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, let's be fair. Most DMs, they don't take games into extremely late game. They don't. Most of the time, you don't see characters above level I'm gonna say on average 12.
That's true.
Unless they plan for it, unless they're like, okay, start at level 8, we're gonna go from 8 to 15.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm guilty of that myself. We rarely go past level 8.
Yep. I know this, Kyle. It hurts my soul.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt your soul. But that's true. Yeah. So early game is definitely important, especially me, because everybody likes new beginnings, man. Everybody likes new beginnings, and you just drag it out so long.
But the late game is where all the epic stuff happens, Kyle.
I know. Hey, it's not that I won't allow it. It's just that I say, hey, is everybody ready for something new? And when people say yes, we do something new. So the masses speak, man. The masses speak.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's also harder to plan for late game. And I do understand that, having tried DMing before, and it's not as easy as early game. Early game is significantly easier.
Yeah, especially when late game, everybody has a bazillion abilities and they're all superheroes. Let's move on to goblins. Space goblins, specifically. that's
Superheroes, goblins.
Yes, it's a great segue.
Right.
He is a green goblin, which is not a superhero, supervillain, but same thing. So, the goblin, it's in as goblin, but it's a space goblin, which is strange to me that they put this here. They put it goblin, comma space, but there's no other goblin types. Well, there's no other different playable goblin types.
It's literally the Paizo goblin in space.
Yeah.
Somehow they developed space flight before everybody else.
I was kind of hoping put it in the S's if you're not going to have any more goblins. So, yeah. So the space goblin, I personally am not that disappointed with the space adaptation Paizo goblin. So the ability adjustments for the space goblin are a +4 to Dex and a -2 to Charisma. Pretty straightforward, quick.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah, quick, shitty little things. You can dump Charisma a lot of the time. So, yeah, nice for Dex builds. 2 hit points. Okay, it's small, it's frail, well earned. It is a small humanoid with a goblinoid subtype. Dark vision, 60 feet. Okay. It's fast. The ability fast. Space goblins are fast for their size and have a base movement speed of 35. The only 35 land speed that we've seen so far here. So that's nice. Nice and quick. And space goblins, as their scrounger ability, space goblins receive a +2 racial bonus to engineering, stealth, and survival checks. All 3 of those. I like that. That's nice. That's good.
That's really useful.
Yeah. That's not just a stealth check, a engineering check, a survival check. It is all of those checks. So, very good. Very good ability. And their last ability is the Tinker ability. Scroll up here and check that out. As a move action, a space goblin can remove the penalties associated with the broken condition from a single piece of equipment until the start of his next turn. The item then becomes unusable for 10 minutes and retains the broken condition after that until it is fixed. So this could be extremely useful, but probably only once in a great while. I guess it depends on your campaign, but for you to just be able to fix something with your move action, boom, this is fixed. Hey, you better hurry up and use it because it's going to go to shit again. But here, go ahead. It's fixed. Do what you're going to do. That could be extremely useful. Dawn, your thoughts on Space Goblin?
I mean, they're goblins. Everyone wants to play a goblin at one point. I personally like them. I think that the Tinker ability can be very useful in certain circumstances. For instance, if you have monsters that focus on breaking players' gear. Oh, you broke my sword. Let me just fix that. Yeah, it's only for 1 round, but that 1 round, that damage could actually count for something. Oh, you broke my pistol. Let me, glue that back together real quick. As far as the other stuff, their scrounger ability, absolutely amazing. The +2 to 3 different skill checks is absolutely amazing. And then again, dark vision is just the bee's knees. It really is. They're fast. 5 feet doesn't really make that much of a difference. I mean, unless you're running. When thinking about, you know, combat terms, 5 extra feet doesn't really set off my good times.
Okay.
It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't jiggle my Ghibli.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I like them. They're pretty well rounded. Much like you said with the Formian. Yeah, they're pretty well rounded. They seem to have a purpose. They seem to know what they are and what they're good at and what they're not good at. Yeah. Space Goblin. Good. Thumbs up. Okay, next up we have the gray.
Goblin, space.
What?
Goblin, space.
Yes, Goblin, space.
That's their name.
Yeah, I don't. Man, why'd they do that? I can understand that if they had several goblins, put them all with the goblins. I get that, and maybe that's coming. Maybe that's why they did that. Maybe it's coming, but
it probably is.
The next one is the American stereotype alien called the Gray. So the Gray gets a +4 to intelligence ability adjustment and a -2 to strength. So a frail, intelligent life form with 2 hit points. It is also 2 hit points, and it's also small with the Gray subtype. So it's a tiny. It's not the tall stereotypical looking alien. It's the tiny stereotypical alien. Small size, actually. It also gets dark vision for 60 feet, and it gets gray magic. So for its gray magic, once a day it can cast Mind Thrust. Okay, decent. It's only once a day, but it's decent.
And the first levels, so
yeah,
nah.
Yeah, no scaling, but okay. But it's free, so at will it can cast Daze, which is nice, and telepathic message, which a lot of these races have telepathy anyway. So he's only trying harder to do with what a lot of them can do standard. The only thing the one thing I do like about the Grays is its last ability is phase. A Gray can shift itself out of phase with reality as a reaction to gain a 20% mischance against one attack. A Gray can use this ability a number of times per day equal to its Constitution modifier. So I can see this being good for like the Technomancer, because you're getting your +4 to intelligence. You're accepting the fact that you're small, you're frail. You want to dump some points into your con so that you're staying up as a caster. So let's say you have a 2 or 3 con modifier. So you're using 2 or 3 times a day. You can give them a 20% mischance. Okay, that's decent. But otherwise, I mean, they don't offer anything else. Yeah. What do you think, Don? That's it.
Well, I mean, the +4 int is really nice, like you said, for the Technomancer. Like, really nice. But like you also said, there's not much else they offer. They like a lot of other races do offer a racial technological item, a memory expunge.
Yeah.
It is a level 13 item that erases 5 minutes of a creature's memory. That's pretty cool. I like it. But I mean, if that's the one thing that they really have going for them, it's not, in my opinion, really worth, trying to figure out how to play a viable character.
Yeah, and they don't actually give you that, so that might be something you never come across.
Yeah, that's up to the DM to give you. But like I said, that's from a player's standpoint. I don't really know what I would do with this character other than a Technomancer. I mean, a Technomancer is definitely just kind of, with its stats the way it is, it's just kind of staring you in the face and being, play me.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't see it being useful for anything else.
Yep, that's what it wants you to be. Well, that or like a mechanic or something, but
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot mechanics are based as well.
Okay, so moving on to, I think it's pronounced Haan. I would guess Haan or Haan, but I'm guessing Haan. So, yeah, like spider beetle people. Spider beetle people. This picture looks a little ridiculous. The other picture is with it in like its natural habitat, which looks more like a spider creature. It also shows off one of its abilities. So let's take a look at the Haan. The Haan, I kind of like the Haan. Kind of like them. So the ability adjustments for it are a +2 to strength, +2 to dex, -2 to intelligence, and they get 4 hit points. So Haans are large, monstrous humanoids with a space and reach of 10 feet. So they get reach. They're large. Although they only have average hit points and pretty average ability adjustments. So yeah, they kind of seem like the middle of the road especially as far as large creature options go. Their first ability is Dark Vision, standard 60-foot Dark Vision, and they have an ability called Fire Spray, which is a lot like a breath weapon, but a little different. As a standard action, a Haan can create a 30-foot cone of flame that deals 1d6 damage. Starting at 3rd level, it can add 1.5 times their character level. And a creature in the cone can attempt a reflex save in this game for half damage. A Haan can't use this. Okay, it's exactly the same as a breath weapon. I'm sorry, I thought there was residual with the Fire Spray. A Haan can't use these for another short rest.
There is a slight difference between this and the Dragonkin. It does more damage. The D8 versus D6.
Okay, the Dragonkin did a D8?
No, the Haan does a D8, doesn't it?
No, a D6.
Okay, this thing is just small. I can't see it then. My apologies, guys.
That's okay. So it's essentially a breath weapon. They gave a different name to be more thematic. And they also get slow fall, which is kind of cool. A Haan in an environment with an atmosphere, so on a planet or something, can slow fall her fall by inflating a web balloon as a reaction. So basically, you can cast slow fall on yourself. This is an extraordinary ability that functions as per the flight cast at 1st level. So that's it's essentially you're casting flight, not slow fall, on yourself at a 1st level. I'm cool with that. That's kind of cool. You know.
My question is, if it functions as flight as the 1st level, which is effectively the levitate ability, Pathfinder, does that mean you could go up or down?
By the description, I would say no, but I would have to read the spell description. So, I don't have my Starfinder book out handy, or I would do so.
Flight 1st level just literally says it acts as levitate, which allows you to traverse, vertically, but you can't move horizontally at all.
So maybe you can. If you can go vertically, if it doesn't say down, so yeah, you can float up some. Kind of weird. I wish I would have been more specific on that, but okay. I kind of like this race. Nothing grand, but I kind of like the theme. You're a big, imposing bug guy. You're not like hugely hardy, but you're middle of the road. You can swing a few ways. So, Dom, what do you think about the Haan or Haan?
Other than the fact that it looks goofy as shit in its armor.
Yes, it does.
Like you said, it's kind of middle of the road. It can go. You could go with it. You could go soldier. You could go operative. You could go mechanic. You could go. Most things actually you could play as a Haan or Han or whatever. So it has versatility as far as what you could feasibly play with it without sucking a big one. Its fire spray ability, like you said before, is kind of meh. It's a fire breath ability from any other race. I was hoping it was gonna be cool because of what it's called. Not all that great. Kind of reminds me of Starship Troopers, those big bugs that sprayed the flaming liquid.
That's just what I was thinking. Yes. Yep.
Which thematically is cool. I'd like to spit a flaming league at them.
Who doesn't?
Right. I don't know. I'd have to look more into like how they live and their ecology and all that, where I could tell you if thematically I would want to play. But just by looking at their stats and all that, I would say I might give it a shot. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of bugs, but I might give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one that I would probably try out. May try out. But I mean, it's tough, man. It's a tough race. There's a few really good options. Okay, the next one is, I think this is Ikashti. I think you pronounce this Ikashti.
Ikashti?
Ikashti. 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 I think it's Ikashti. That's my guess.
I thought Ikashti sounded better. Yeah, whatever. Say what you want.
Sure. Ike, whatever you want. So these are a long list of reptile races for Starfinder. These are the Don. You brought this up earlier. They're the kobolds. They are but these are badass, man. Whoever did the art for these, kudos, because these are badass looking kobolds.
They're not derpy looking like everything else.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can't see the other picture, but the other one's just as cool as this big fella down here. The other one actually looks.
Which one you said they were looking at?
They're looking at the big thick one that's doing like the superhero landing pose.
Yeah.
There's another one who's like fully clothed, looking at a mechanical device and stuff.
That one looks pretty badass too.
Yeah, I like both of those. So, great art aside, let's take a look. The ability adjustments are +2 to Dex, +2 to Intelligence, and -2 to Wisdom. It gets 4 hit points.
Wow.
And they are small, humanoid with the Ikashti subtype. So their basic theme with this is they're desert reptile folk. And their first ability is Desert Survivor. And Ikashti can go without water for 3 days, plus a number of hours equal to their Constitution score before needing to attempt Constitution checks to avoid non-lethal damage.
That's impressive.
That is impressive, but I don't see that being crazily useful unless you're doing an entire campaign on a desert planet.
I mean, if you're doing a campaign where people are going to different planets to look for different things or what have you, there are quite a few desert planets in the Starfinder systems.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I could see that.
Could be useful.
I can see it coming in handy once or twice during a campaign. Other than that, when is that going to set you apart from everybody else? I don't know. The second ability, I do like. Natural Climber. Gives it a climb speed of 15 feet. It's only 15 feet, but climb speeds can be very useful. So these little buggers can climb. I also like its third ability, Shed Skin. As part of the action to attempt the check, an Ikashti can shed a portion of her skin to gain a +4 bonus to acrobatics checks to escape from grapples, pins, and restraints. So I do like that. It sheds its skin, give you a nice +4 bonus to try to get out of all these all the different things that are holding you down. I do like that. That can come very useful.
In classic kobold fashion, it has an escape technique.
Yes. But in unclassic, I don't see really any downsides to this. Kobolds can sometimes have a lot of downsides.
Yep.
But yeah, these little guys are little beefy upgraded kobolds. They also get one more ability. It's called Squirt Blood. Kind of weird, but could be useful. So, once per day as a move action, an Ikashti it says Broodminder here, but that's because it's under the Broodminder, Ikashti Broodminder stats. Can squirt blood from one of his eyes at a foe within 30 feet, making a ranged attack against the target's KAC. A successful hit grants the next ally who hits that foe the benefit of harrying fire against it. So that's good. For a move action, that's free. I like it. Thoughts on the Ikashti, Don?
Well, like I said before, a golden face. It having a climb speed is cool. There's a lot of situations when climb speed comes in handy. So that's actually pretty cool. The Desert Survivor thing, like you said, might come in handy once or twice in a campaign. But as far as what you said about what puts it apart, I think everything else survive for a day. So effectively it lasts like 3 times longer than normal people do, without having to make that check, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So when it does come in handy, it comes in really handy. Everything else is interesting. It's thematic. This race is thematic. It has its definite upside. It has Dex and intelligence. These things would make awesome engineers. Awesome operatives. The climb speed and whatnot, and the Technomancer. It would make an interesting Technomancer. So all in all, it's a very well-rounded race. I really like it, just because of its versatility. It has a lot of that, and like you said about the Squirt Blood, Squirt Blood as a move action is kind of free, you know. Hey, harrying fire for a move action, why not?
Yeah, it's free. I mean, it's not free, but it's in a lot of cases it is free. Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, harrying fire, move action. Why not, right?
Yep. And it gets it once per day for every 5 character levels. I forgot to add that because that's not in the description I read. That's actually in the racial traits. So it gets once per day. So at level 5 you can do it twice per day. Level 10 you can do it 3 times per day.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Free harrying fires. So yeah, I'd say upgraded kobold. I like it. Oh, let's move on.
Stamp of approval.
To the next one, our last one for today. We'll make this a 2-parter. The 11th race we're going to cover is the Kalo. Oh, the Kalo! Look at that picture. I'm showing him the one with the full suit of armor. Badass.
Looks like power armor. Yeah.
Yeah, badass looking. So the Kalo is a, how do I put it, useful and cursed at the same time. I like this race, but let's go over the racer traits. So it has ability adjustments of +2 Dex, +2 Wisdom, -2 Con. It only gets +2 hit points. It is a medium monstrous humanoid with the aquatic subtype, meaning they require water to breathe.
And now you see the downside.
Yeah. So -2 Con, 2 hit points, and they require water to breathe. That sucks. But let's take a look at the other abilities, because they do shine. They do really shine in certain areas. So they get they are used to swimming in an icy water and have a cold resistance of 5. As Dawn pointed out, with the sonic resistance of 5, the cold resistance of 5 can also prove very useful in early levels. Yeah, I like it. Their movement. Here's another give and take. The Kalo have a base movement of 20 feet and a swim speed of 50 feet. Man, so effective in water, so effective. But 20-foot movement, that's slow. So they also get another ability, Kalo Vision. It's also another buff. They have innate sonar that grants them blind sight using sound. 60 feet. 60 feet of blind sight. While their specialized eyes also grant them low light vision. 60 feet of blind sight and low light vision. Very nice, very nice. Their last ability is they are stealthy swimmers. They get a +4 bonus to stealth checks, 1 in water. Pretty good, but situational, but pretty good. So, Dawn, let's talk about the Kalo being our last specimen here. What do you think?
Personally, you were saying it was situational. I think the entire race is kind of situational. It is cool, but like you have to inform your players, hey, this is going to have a lot of aquatics to it, to even try to entice them into playing. Because if if you're searching around on a desert planet, they're not going to want to play this thing. If they're in a jungle that doesn't have a whole lot of water, they're not going to want to play this thing. Yeah, let me something's gonna suffocate if you crack my helmet. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm frail underneath it, so yeah.
Yeah, the blind side of 60 feet is super good, and the low light vision is cool too. What I think Paizo did here is they removed a type of vision from the game, because basically this is Starfinder is just a conversion from Pathfinder in a lot of aspects, and in Pathfinder there was a thing called deep sight, which allowed them to see underwater, like in murky water and all that. I think what they did here is they removed that because I think that would be more thematic for this race. But who's to say? You know, just little tidbits of useless info. As far as the cold resistance, 5 early levels cold resistance are good. And like I said before, if they went like a Solarian and chose the armor, that's cold and fire resistance 5 early levels, and you're just they're squishy, but at that point, who gives a shit?
Yeah, just stay away from kinetic, and you're good.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
As far as the race as a whole, like I said, thematic. It's very specialized. It's very specialized. I don't know. I think as a DM, you have to try to entice your players into playing. Except for maybe Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like players to play this. What I would suggest is, hey, team up with the Dragonkin, become its bond, and you can ride the Dragonkin around, and that'll take care of your speed, and get good armor so you can protect your fucking head so you're not drowning in oxygen. Yeah, it's got some definite downsides. It's kind of a niche thing, but man, I like it. It's got some really good upsides. So Dawn, do you have anything else to add while we wrap up part 1 of this review?
That was already 11 races. Didn't feel like it.
Yep, that was first 11.
Impressive. I don't know. My take on the first 11 races was fairly positive. I mean, yeah, there was some very glaring negatives as far as the races, but mostly positive. It does seem like Paizo took the time that they needed to actually hash out some really good races. It feels like these are a lot more thought out and like considered, I guess, than a lot of the races that they just like threw out for their other system. I do a lot of comparing because I started with Pathfinder, so I mean I can't look at this and not compare it to what Pathfinder was. But how they did with Pathfinder was it felt like they were just throwing races at you at a certain point. Like let's just throw a handful of shit at the wall and see what sticks. That's how it felt. But with this, it feels like it's definitely more what's it called? On purpose. Felt like it was more intended, or it was more, meant. Like they actually meant to put the race in there, not just whatever seems like it might work at some point. Though there are some like that, like Picklehead. I really have a hate on for that race. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem all that great. Like if I was looking at this book and I got to the Picklehead before any of these other cool races, I think I might stop looking at the book. Which does not give a fair shake to the other races, that's all I'm saying. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, Picklehead was just don't do it for me. Picklehead, don't do it for me. But yeah, there was quite a bit to offer. And yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys. But we do have the other half, the 11 remaining races. Gonna try to do that tomorrow morning as well. If
I'm
not,
done.
Yeah, if not, we'll have it up as soon as possible. So, yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys. We have Grey Maze tonight. Grey Maze, Episode 9. D&D 5e coming tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, Dawn, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, bud.
I'll see you in the Grey Maze.
Yep. Yeah, see you tonight. Thanks for joining me, and have a good one, people. See ya.